tonight Garud, he's crying and he's standing in front of Lord Vishnu. When you feel to cry, when you feel upset, when you feel hurt, when you feel the pain of separation that comes through death, whom do you cry to? Husband died, maybe wife died, and his spouse is feeling the pain. Who do you turn to? Whom should you turn to? Parents have lost their child. Whom should they turn to? Garuda is crying and he is falling at the feet of Bhagavan Vishnu and he is saying, Lord Vishnu, you told me that you created that and I understand the reason why you created that. But why did my mother have to die? He is crying for his mother. Why did my mother have to die? Tell me, O Lord Vishnu. And Lord Vishnu says, Garud, a part of being born is that you will die. Garud says, I have heard all of those things, but I am still not accepting that. Lord Vishnu, tell me why. And Lord Vishnu says, Garud, it is a never-ending cycle, and so rebirth will happen. Garud becomes excited. Rebirth will happen. Then you are Antaryami, Sarvavyapak, Ajar, Amar. You are God of sustenance, O Bhagavan Vishnu. Then you have the ability to know what has happened to the soul. You have the ability to know. If my mother has been reborn, Bhagavan Vishnu, I don't want you to tell me. I want you to show me. I want to see where she is. I want you to show me where she has taken rebirth. And I want to know if she is experiencing torment or if she is happy where she is. And Bhagavan Vishnu sits on the back of Garud because Garud is a bird. Garud is a bird. The Vaudya is designed in such a way that the higher it goes, the better it sees. That's how it is designed. The higher it goes, the better it sees. Humans are not designed that way. The higher they go, the blinder they become. We are not designed that way. And so Garud started soaring high above the clouds. And as Bhagavan Vishnu sat on the back of Garud, Bhagavan Vishnu says, Garud, look down. And Garud got excited, he got happy, he was elated. Why? Because Lord Vishnu stopped him over a huge mahal. Mahal is a palace, a great kingdom. And so Garud started to smile from air to air. Garud got happy. And when Garud looked down, Garud says, Bhagavan Vishnu, is my mother now the king of this kingdom? Lord Vishnu says, no. Is my mother the queen in the kingdom? Lord Vishnu says, no. Then who is she? What has she taken rebirth as? Who is she? And Bhagavan Vishnu says, look. And on the steps of the kingdom, there is a frail lady using her sari as a sapi. You ever hear about sapi? Using her sari as a sapi. And she's wiping the floor. She's a servant. She's a maid. Garud, seeing his mother taking rebirth as a servant in the kingdom, Garud starts to scream and cry. And Garud is crying, Lord Vishnu, how unjust are you? My mother was a divine soul, and she created a divine son like me, upon whom you ride. Then why is my mother being tormented, and why is she suffering? And Bhagavan Vishnu says, not because of what she did in this birth, but it's because of what she did in previous births. Garud starts to cry. Garud is unhappy. Garud begins to cry. And now that they go back to Vaikuntha, and Garud sits there, Garud is going to ask millions of questions. He's going to ask millions of questions. And this is where the Garud Pran came into being. Where Garud is now asking these numerous questions to Lord Vishnu. And he's replying, how intelligent is the bird? How intelligent is the bird? In the Shiva Puran, it talks about the bird. The bird that listened to the katha between Lord Shiva and Mother Parvati. The bird that listened to the katha that holds the key to immortality. And when the bird started to rattle the katha and Lord Shiva heard, Lord Shiva put a curse on the bird. You'll talk, you know. But sometimes when you talk in the middle of your conversation, your words will be muffled and nobody will understand. You ever hear the parrot talking and you want to know what the parrot say? You ever hear the bird talking and you could understand some of the words and you can't understand the rest? Because the bird knows the katha. But you see, he can't tell the katha to himself, so he will die. And he can't tell the katha to you and I, so we will die too. But he knows. He is born with that. Tonight, Garuda begins to ask many questions. And what are some of these questions? Who is Garuda again? Who is Garuda again? He is the Vahan. Vahan means the vehicle upon which Lord Vishnu rides. What does he look like again, Jagannath? He's a bird, a vulture. Bhagwan, I've heard of these terms Atma, Paramatma and Jivatma. Please describe to me. I've heard about soul before, and soul is Atma. I've heard about Atma, I've heard about Jiva Atma, and I've heard of Paramatma. Describe to me, what is Atma? What is Jiva Atma? And what is Parama Atma? Have you ever heard those words before? Atma, Jiva Atma, and Parama Atma. What are those? What is Atma? Well, it's the name of a Pundit, we know. Isn't it? It's the name of your cousin and your friend and somebody who possesses that name, Atma. Atma refers to soul, but generally. It is a term given generally to soul. So we all possess a Atma. All of us together, we possess Atma. But an individual soul is called Jiva Atma. An individual soul is called Jiva Atma. So together, collectively, we all possess Atma. But the soul trapped in your body is called the Jiva Atma. So I have a Jiva Atma. It is the hope, it is the wish, it is the aim while we are alive that our Jiva Atma will prepare itself to meet with Parama Atma. Who is Paramatma? Bhagwan, God. Paramatma is God. So Atma, Jiva Atma and Paramatma. So Atma means soul generally, Jiva Atma means soul individually, and Paramatma means infinitely, Bhagwan, God. Garuda asking this question. Then he goes on to ask another question. He says, when a soul exits the body at the time of death, O Bhagwan Vishnu, the Garuda Puran says, a sinful soul. A sinful soul is called a papi. That's why we don't call fathers, brothers, nephews, sons, papi. Because papi means papi sun. Papi means sinner. We never refer to anybody as papi. But the Garuda Puran says, the Yamduts, and we'll listen to who that is in a little while because that's one of the questions. They don't refer to the soul as papi. They refer to the soul as Mahapapi. Maha means Garud. He says, so at the time of death, tell me, is that painful or is that peaceful? Is there anything like a painful death or a peaceful death? And Bhagavan Vishnu says, death comes and there is only one thing happens at death and one experience that everything experiences. And so Garud, you and I say, well, Baba, she get a real good death. He died peacefully in his sleep, and so he died peaceful. He got everything he wanted, and he gone up the road quiet. Huh? The Garuda Puran says the pain of death is a very painful thing. Why? What is the pain? It gives a comparison as to the kind of pain that is felt at the time of death. It says the pain is as though 1,000 scorpions they're stinging you at one time. Such is the pain of death. So death is painful. But Bhagavan Vishnu says that very same pain is the pain that is felt at the time of birth. That's why the first thing the baby does when the baby is born is, you think the baby crying for nothing? For no reason at all? It is because the baby is experiencing pain. Garud, he says, Bhagavan, then tell me, the soul is taken by Yama. Who is Yama? Describe Yama for me. Yama is a manifestation of Lord. Yama is a manifestation of Lord. But Yama has assistants, attendants. And the name of the attendants of Yama, they are called Yam Doots. That is servants of Yama. And so very seldom Yama himself comes, because he sends his servants. And the servants, they are identical to him. They are identical to him. The Yam Doots, they resemble Yama. What does the Yam Doots look like? What does Yama look like? It says Kala Roop. Kal means black. Black. Jaggedy rays are like long hairs hanging off the body. Lala Ak. His eyes are bloodshot red. Jaggedy, long, crooked teeth. And holding in his hand, what does he hold in his hand, Dave? A noose. Holding a noose in his hand. And a dandi, a rod that is made of iron, steel. He's holding this in his hand. Think about that. Think about you seeing that when death is coming to you. What will you do? What will you do? Garuda says, after hearing about the Yamdoots and hearing about Yama and all of them holding the noose and all of them holding, he says, why a noose? And Bhagavan Vishnu says, well, the soul never wants to exit the body. And so when the soul does not want to exit the body, they throw the noose around the neck of the soul and they begin to drag the soul out of the body. And so dragging the soul out of the body, then it is a painful thing. Pain is happening. Garuda asks the next question. What can one do to eliminate the pain of suffering when death comes? And Bhagavan Vishnu says, Garuda, what? He's asking. He says, how you know death is coming? And it says, the soul reaches to the throat. Garuda, what can we do to eliminate the pain when death comes? And Bhagavan Vishnu says, the tulsi dal. Drinking of the tulsi water. What else, Lord Vishnu? Lord Vishnu says, the soul that is wearing the mark, the body that the soul is about to exit from, wearing the mark of Chandan, that sacred sandal piece, that soul can get mukti, salvation. Garuda says, what else? Bhagavan Vishnu says, when the soul is about to exit the body, if the body of the dying is placed on the ground that is leped with the gobar, then the soul gets mukti. Garuda says, what else? Then, if the soul is placed on the bed of kush grass to lie, the soul gets mukti, salvation. It says, what else can be done? Garuda, he says, chanting and listening to the glories of Bhagwan, Paramatma, can bring mukti, salvation to the dying. What else? Wearing of a piece of gold. Wearing of a piece of gold can bring mukti, salvation. That's why when you're done dead, they put the gold. Still praying for mukti, salvation. But then you see, you better wear gold while you're living. Because when you're dead, if that gold have to save you, you're in real trouble. Because they put the chunky piece. Huh? You could hardly see it. And they expect you to get mukti, salvation out of that. Such is the importance of gold. The soul that exits the body while wearing gold will get mukti, salvation. Listen to what it is saying. The book is saying this. This is not my opinion. What else can be done? Giving charity in honor of the person who is dying. Giving dan. Reading and listening to the verses of the Gita. All of these things will bring mukti, salvation to the soul and ease the pain of death. Garuda hearing this, Garuda continues to ask. Garuda says, I'm hearing about Atma, soul, then tell me, what is the size of the soul? Garuda continues to ask, what is the size of the soul? Angushta. The size of the soul is like your thumb. Garuda now asks the next question. He says, Bhagwan, tell me, what happens to the soul when death comes? What is done with the soul? Tell me, I want to know. What happens to the body when death comes? Sharon, what do they do with the body? What do they do? Bhagwan Vishnu tells Garuda, he says when death comes, the most important thing that should be done at that exact moment is that diya should be lit in honor of that person who has died. It should be lit in a very private, quiet place where that person would have been very accustomed to. Why? The flame of the diya is almost angushta, the size of the soul. The soul exiting the body becomes very confused. And so becoming very confused, the soul begins to bharme. What bharme mean? Have you ever heard that word? Bharme? Bharme means to hova, to wonder. The soul begins to bharme, begins to wander everywhere. And the only thing that will bring comfort to the soul is this lighting diya in this quiet place. A funeral and a death, after death ceremony is supposed to be a very sentimental, soulful thing. Huh? Garuda asks, what happens to the soul at that time? And so Bhagavan Vishnu says, well, the soul is extracted and the soul is taken to Dharamraj. Dharamraj listens to the account of the soul by Chitra and Gupta. Garuda says, is it a peaceful time for the soul? Bhagavan Vishnu says, no, Garuda. When Chitra and Gupta begins to give the record of the life, the soul begins to cry. And everything Chitra and Gupta say, the soul says, that's not true. It's a lie. It is a lie. It is a lie. I never did this. I never did that. I never did the next thing. Bhagavan Vishnu says, Garuda, then there are witnesses that are called. You see out in Palni's Park, it is Purnima, it is the full moon. If the actions happen in the night, the moon is the witness, he is called. If the actions happen in the day, Surya, the sun, is the witness, he is called. And if you still say the sun and the moon lie, then Tara. Tara is Taki wife. Tara. Huh? Tara. Tara is the stars. The stars are called. And so you still say that the star line, then there isn't a time when there isn't a tree or a plant or some other witness around. And so they all give testimony to the actions that were performed. Garuda then goes on to ask. He says, Bhagwan, how long does this judgment take? How long you think it will take? How long does the judgment take? The soul remains in the body for how much years? For many years. The soul remains in the body for many years, isn't it? Then how long you think the account will last? This judgment, the Garuda Puran says, 3 minutes of our time. 3 minutes of our time is plenty of that time. And so it takes only 3 minutes. And after the soul gives the account of the kind of life that would have been lived and then it is already destined what will happen to the soul. If it will be reborn, or if the soul will be granted mukti, salvation, or what the torments of the soul will be. And now the soul comes right back. And you know what the soul is coming to do? The soul is coming to observe the Anteshti. What is the Anteshti? Anteshti Sanskar. What is the Anteshti? The soul is coming to witness the Anteshti. There are how many sanskars the body goes through? What is a sanskar? What is a sanskar? Sanskar in a layman term, so that you'll be able to understand, is a stage or a phase in life. Sanskar. Birth. At birth, there are many sanskars that should be performed. Namkaran sanskar. The giving of the Mundan sanskar. The giving of the shaving of the Annapras sanskar. The giving of food. Solid food. It's all a sanskar. The child has to go to school and to begin writing, and it's a sanskar. The piercing of the ears, a sanskar. When the boys take the janev, they pierce the ears of the boys. Garuda, he's asking all of these questions. And asking these questions, Garuda, he's trying to bring comfort to himself in honor and memory of his mother. He's trying to bring some kind of comfort. The Anteshti. The soul comes to witness the Anteshti, the funeral. the sanskars. One of the sanskar is Guru Diksha. Guru Diksha is, what is Guru Diksha? In Trinidad we say christening. In Hinduism there is nothing called a christening. It is called Guru Diksha. That is what it is called, Guru Diksha. We call it initiation. That is what it is called. It is called an initiation, not a christening. Guru Diksha. What again? Viva. What is Viva? Garuda asks, then how or what is the purest way of disposing of the body? Funeral and Anteshti Sanskar is a nice polished way of saying we're getting rid of the body. That's what it is. Disposing of the body. Because the body is of no use again. It is of no use. So now we have to do something with it. So now Garuda is asking, what is the purest way of disposing of the body? I'm going to get in trouble. The purest way of disposing of the body is by means of cremation. By means of cremation. It is the purest way of disposing of the body. Cremation is the purest way. The book says the purest way of disposing of the body is through the medium of cremation. But it specifies. It goes on to say that there are cases in which the body must be buried based on the circumstances of death. The body must be buried based on the circumstances of a child under the age of 5. When he or she dies, the body should not be cremated, it should be buried. If a woman dies in labor and she and the child dies, then her body must be. But the Garuda says she should not just be buried, she should be buried wearing blue clothing. It specifies. It is always a debate what color to wear when you're dead. Wear your color when you're living. Wear whatever color you choose to while you're alive. If you have to present yourself to God, you have to present yourself to God. What color you'll want to wear? What color you'll want to wear? And so, what is the color that is waved if there is a war to symbolize that there is surrender? What is the color? So what color should be worn? That's why in front of the hearse they don't put one flag, they put two. And you know what color they put? Why they don't put on the color that clothes you're wearing inside the box? Why they don't do that? Because it's not only surrender, it's not only one surrender on the day of the funeral, it's two surrender. Did you all know this? Scripture says they put two flags and they specify two flags. And you know why it says two white jandi? It is surrender for the body and it is surrender for the Atma, the soul. That's why it is two flags. Makes sense now? The Garuda tells us this. The reason why they used to make the holes in the flag is because at night time or when it became windy, those flags flap and they make a loud noise. Have you ever heard the jandi flying and making the flap? Have you ever heard that? But when they make holes in the flag, the wind goes through the cloth and no noise happens. And they did not want the flag to flap to frighten them, number one. So they made up a law, Munilal. You know what they say? When that thing flapping, it could disturb the dead man from resting. So they make hole in the flag. And that's where they started to make holes in the jandi. Nowhere. I went trying to comb to find where it says about flags and all it specifies is color and quantity. It did not say material, it did not say pattern, it did not specify any of those things. It spoke about color and quantity. Garuda continues to ask. Now, Garuda is going to ask a question. Garuda asks, who should perform the rituals of the Anteshti? When somebody dies, who should be chosen to perform the rituals? Not the Pundit. Which member of the family should perform the ritual? Who should perform the ritual? Who should be chosen? Who should be ordained to perform perform the ritual of the antyeshti.